You have eye bags and you're tired of them and you want to know how to cover them with makeup, I've got you. There are different things that can affect and cause you to have more excessive eye bags, like health and sleep and diet and sun damage. But ultimately, 99% of it is going to be from genetics and aging. As we get older, our skin thins, and so it's kind of like a water balloon. And as that latex thins, as you get older, it bulges more and it's less and less able to hold back the fluid in the tissue. But here's what we're going to do. The first thing I want to talk about is super easy, but a lot of people forget this step. So if you are using dark colors on your eyes, then you are going to have fallout underneath. The powder kind of drips down and you may not even be able to see it, but it's there and it darkens the whole look. So a lot of people forget to even clean up after. So I'll show you. Even when you can't see the dark fallout, it's there. So I'm just going to take a little Q-tip with some lotion for quick, easy cleanup of all of that fallout. And as you can see, even when it doesn't look like you have much, the Q-tip tells the truth. And that's going to muddy your whole look if you just leave it. So I don't have terrible under eye bags, and some days I do have a lot more darkness than I have today. But today's a pretty good day, and I do a ton of glow ups on women of all ages, and so I would still handle this the same way, and it's super effective. Now, if you have really, really dark under eye darkness, that concealer usually doesn't really cover well at all, then you are probably going to need a color corrector. Now, this isn't most women. Most women will be able to be fine with their concealer, but you may need a color corrector to kind of tone down and neutralize the darkness. You're going to have blue or green undertones in your darkness. If it's super, super dark, you're going to have a lot of blue, and so you're going to need something that has like an orange undertone to tone it down, to neutralize it. If it's like a cool, dark darkness, and if it's more of a warm, kind of brownish darkness, but it's not super dark, then you're going to want something with maybe a little pink in it. And you may have a combination of the pink and the orange in your color corrector. But my darkness is generally here. And then by the time you hit your late 40s, definitely in your 50s, you're going to also have some darkness here and here usually. But the darkest part is going to usually be here. So there are two ways that we can do this. If you truly do have a bag where it comes out, where it's kind of like pillowy, then you're going to have a lot of lightness here with the darkness under. And if the bag sticks out a lot, then you're actually going to have a physical shadow. Makeup can help neutralize and cover, but it will not physically get rid of the bag. You can minimize the shadow, but you can't completely get away with the physical shadow if you really do have a pillowy bag under your eye. And here is where the magic is going to happen. I have two little detail brushes. This is our spot brush. This is our bright brush. And first we're going to start with my cream bronzer, which sounds crazy. It won't really work if you're trying to use a powder bronzer because it doesn't really have the richness that you need. And also it's going to accentuate fine lines under your eyes. So my cream bronzer, this one is Bella. And I'm going to use that bright brush, the small end of it, and I'm just going to dab in just a tiny, tiny, tiny dab. And I'm going to take it on the lightest spots I see around my eyes. So that's going to be above and below the darkness. That's where they stand out. A little bit in here, it's lighter, and a little bit here in here. And I'm just barely, barely going to only go in those areas. And it's going to look weird at first. And the reason we're doing these little tiny detail brushes is because it's really important to only put the color in the area where you need it. Went a little too dark there, so I'm just gonna blur that a little with my finger. And it's a little lighter in here because of this darkness and around it, which is natural. As we get older, the gravity and the weight of your eyeball kind of gives most of us a little sunken shadow there. And so the bronzer is indetectable, but it tones down those light areas, which are what is making the darkness stand out so much. And so once you tone that down, then it kind of all blends much more. And then I'm going to use the tinier spot brush with my concealer. You don't want a concealer that's too light because it can make it go ashy. So you need to make sure you have the wrong concealer color for your skin tones. And again, just put a tiny little amount on it, and I'm going right into the darkness now. And I'm using the little detail brush, the little spot detail brush, to only put it there, because if we halo this and get it on the wrong spots, then it's going to defeat what we're doing. And I don't know if you can tell, The makeup is undetectable, so it's not going to add texture or it's not going to look like makeup. You could do this look with no makeup at all if you just wanted to conceal your bags. And then I can either use my finger or the other end of either of these brushes to kind of tap at it to blur and blend if you feel like you got it a little too dark. So it gives the most natural look you can achieve. And it's better than just putting a concealer under there, which is going to make the light part lighter. And so it's the same ratio, and so it's really not going to do that much. So it looks super natural. I'll do the other side. And a lot of people think that they need to eliminate any darkness whatsoever, and you really don't have to do that. Even kids and young girls have a little bit of natural darkness. We're just trying to get the excess darkness so that it doesn't make you look worn out or age you at all. So I added a little bit of bronzer in those areas where it's a little lighter and whiter. And then I'll go back in with my concealer color, my brightening highlight, not too light, and just hit on those areas where the darkness is showing. It's so subtle and undetectable that as you're doing it, you may not notice it that much until you go back and look at the before and after. But that's what gives us that natural look. And then if I get an area where I feel like maybe it's a little too light, I darken that a little. And if you want, you can flip over your brush and set it. With our dense cream correctors, they really shouldn't slide around or budge at all. But if you feel like you had to use a lot more, then it's good to set the cream with the tiniest little whisper of powder. This is a really natural look without foundation. Now I'm going to put on my foundation to where I even out all of those unflattering colors in my skin, and you can see the final look. So this is the most natural look you can get for under eye darkness in bags. I'll show you if we were to go over it and just to do a fast concealer under my whole under eye. I'm going super light with it, and so it's not heavy. You're not going to see a ton of difference with this. And even though this is pretty and kind of matches the glam because it's light, it's not going to look as natural as the side with the bronzer. Both work, both are beautiful. If you have bags, adding the bronzer to balance is going to be your best bet. Makeup can be magical in covering under eye darkness and bags.